We are back and getting set up for what the pundits have called the matchup of the century, or at least the day. It's going to be One Shot taking on TookTheKids. Let's start with the side of One Shot. These are impressive teams, Connor.
Yeah, these are two of the top three teams in the league. Number 2 versus number 3. You said game of the day, might just be game of the entire weekend. Because both these rosters are really kind of on their full upswings. This is two of their biggest tests for each other's. We had some question marks about how TTK was going to look against some top teams. Then they kind of gave the work towards Karn and Co. Looked good while doing it. One Shot, the only fault to their credit was the fact that they, on week 1, lost to Nocturnes in a very close game. And if you look at the roster on paper, you're like, okay, yeah, this looks pretty good. It's a whole lot of the old with One Shot, but Storms and Quartz did leave. They bring in NVK as well as Subarctic. And Subarctic's one of those players that you're like, hey, I remember him. He was pretty good back when he was on Okami. Then he had kind of a falter when he was a mismatch on the investigation file roster, had a big dip in performance and had a bunch of question marks. But ever since he's joined back to One Shot with the likes of Swalen, with the likes of Kilo, has looked a lot better.
This team does really have a synergy that I think a lot of these players were kind of waiting to find on a team in CL. Now moving over to TookTheKids, the question marks that Connor was talking about, Forceful, it's almost forgettable that we had those question marks. They've been so impressive.
Yeah, TookTheKids was a team that came in out of nowhere, and each game they're playing, they're fighting dirty. You know, they're pulling these rounds out that like they probably shouldn't be. It feels like every game is a scrap. Like we have 4 games that they won on overtime, but like if you go look at it, you know, they've got 6 wins at this point. It's very impressive. You got to be feeling good if you're TPA and Mr. Beast, or sorry, not Mr. Beast, Mr. B, and with the results that you guys are getting. Like Mr. Beast said yesterday, you know, it's not the wins that you get when it's easy. It's the wins you get that are hard that you should feel the most proud about. And they've definitely been pulling those wins out. You know, it seems out of thin air almost every single game.
I think at the end of the day, although they are battling for points, and you could say, hey, 4 overtime wins, but wins are wins. And when it comes down to it at the end of the day, if you're winning, you're moving on. Now, One Shot, they did suffer a tough loss to Aerial Arise. That was a nail biter, but they are definitely looking forward to today.
Yeah, and that was one of those games that Swalen was going absolutely crazy. He was popping off. He was doing everything. He almost pushed it to overtime with a 1v5 ace clutch. So, one of the biggest questions that we have for One Shot is what happens when Swalen doesn't necessarily play his best game? Sure, he's the top-rated player in CL. He was rocking a 1.45 rating going into last game against Aerial Arise, and he dropped it just a little bit. He didn't play his best game, and all of a sudden, Aerial Arise, they close that out in regulation in a close 7-5 once again. So, where does the rest of the team fit into that picture? Where is Slippery going to have to step up? Or your NVK, who have both been playing pretty well, but haven't had really jaw-dropping games yet, like Swalen? And Tanner, you also talked about how both of these teams are going to play really gritty, if you wanted to go into more detail on that.
Oh, absolutely. I think both these teams, they've got like some issues when it comes to, you know, getting into the map and getting their drones set up. Like we saw yesterday with West Garfield, you know, not with West Garfield, with Aerial, you know, One Shot was having a really hard time getting their drones in the map and then following those up. And I think it was the same case you had for TookTheKids, you know, who's a roster that is just like there's some key issues you can see on their attacks when it comes to their drone work. They're definitely having a little bit of difficulty trying to make sure that they're following up their drone work and they're getting their entry. So what I'm kind of looking for today is like stay on this game plan. Like they've been performing very consistently, but they gotta not rush themselves. They gotta feel like, you know, like long-term goal, we want to be good in stage 3. So when we get to the playoffs, we're good. Don't let the pressure of having to perform every single night get to us. Let's make sure that we're sticking to what we're used to. We're sticking to like our core fundamentals. We're just trying to improve every single game. We're not trying to force things like we saw yesterday. We saw Blitz come out, and then in the interview we asked Mr. B about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, we never really practiced it. We've seen it happen against us." It's like, no, just if you're going to pull out these plays, make sure that you've rehearsed them, you've drilled them, you know what you're doing. You're not just trying to wing it, you know. And look at the long-term goal. Manage your expectations. Like try to like look at it like we need to be good for stage 3. Don't have to be perfect right now. Let's go in, let's make mistakes, let's learn from our lessons, and let's just keep pushing forward.
Yeah, and when you have that sort of trust the process ideology, don't bring the blitz. Even though we've been praising Mr. B, Mr. Biblical, Mr. Built Differently, We've been praising him on his IGL calls.
But
Sometimes they can get a little bit
be
convoluted.
Mr. Blitz as well. You don't want him to be Mr.
No,
Blitz.
I don't think
No.
he's Mr. Blitz. I don't think he's Mr.
He's
Blitz.
definitely not Mr. Blitz.
Yeah, but it's also with this team, one of the biggest issues is how slow they've had their starts, and that's even just a constant, not necessarily like, okay, they're starting on Oregon attacks and they're starting slow. That's kind of expected. Sometimes even on the defensive side of maps, they're starting slow. And one of the things that you were talking about, Tanner, was warm-up scrims. Are they getting them in? Are they going to just really hit the ground running and not have that awkward period? Because when you're going up against a team like One Shot, you can't really afford to drop those rounds because they're going to punish you.
Absolutely. I think they need that first round right off the rip. They can't sacrifice. Going into map bans here, I'm praying, just not a Clubhouse or Villa, but going through my research, all my research is indicating we're going to either Clubhouse or Villa today. Both these teams, TookTheKids got a very small map pool, and it really clashes really nicely with One Shot. It kind of leans one way or the other. Hopefully we could get a border. Both these teams don't really like to ban border, but I got a feeling it's going to be coming up here soon. And you see Bank gone, that's one of One Shot's best maps. You see Cafe gone, that's another map that One Shot likes to play. Theme Park, we saw TTK play that against Aerial Rise earlier on. Chalet, and it's going to be Clubhouse, isn't it? I'm not.
There's the chance for border.
No,
there's the chance.
There was the chance. They had my hopes.
There was the chance.
But alas, we're going to Clubhouse. Historically, this is a map both these teams have been playing on. They've both had, fairly decent records. I know in stage 3, One Shot, this was one of the maps they like to take teams to. They think their core fundamentals are stronger. And TookTheKids, this is a map that everyone's familiar with. We always talk about those equalizer maps, those default maps. This is a map where, again, just keeping it simple, trying to rehearse our fundamentals, make sure our drills are solid. You're going to start to see, a team like TookTheKids feel very at home and comfortable on this map.
Wow, I'm surprised. You know what? I am going to change my vote to TookTheKids. I've been feeling good about them. I feel like Mr. B and what he's got going for that team is really good. But Connor, you look like you're doubting my decision.
I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence on this one because it's been weird. It's been awkward because max OT against Gaming Gladiators, you're like, okay, yeah, Gaming Gladiators kind of struggled a little bit on Clubhouse. Then they came out last game and looked actually pretty decent on it, especially on their attacking side with a double 5-1 split against Nocturnes. But just overall, the way the One Shot play, and more so with the map of Clubhouse in particular, it's really good at shutting down individual performances. Clubhouse is probably the hardest map in the pool to drop a 20 bomb on, something like that. Even though Jolton was able to do it, I don't know how he managed to, of all people. But if the game plan is correct for the side of One Shot, you can mitigate out the kind of the 2-horse race that we've seen multiple times with PTK. You can shut down somebody like Tragical, you can shut down somebody like TPA. When you look at both these rosters fully on paper, 5 aside for a full team, you got to give the slight edge to One Shot. And when you go to a gut check map like this that they're still comfortable on, you got to give them the edge.
Tanner, those were great points, Connor. I didn't listen to any of them because I don't want to hear it. Tanner, is there any way that I can get you what's your opinion? Can I get you to come on over to the TookTheKids side? Take the kids with me.
Okay, so the one thing that TookTheKids have got, like I said, this is an equalizer map. This is a map where, if you're starting out as a team, which they've only been a team for a short period of time, it's one of those core maps that you're drilling over and over and over again to get better at. You're scrimming it almost daily. Same with Oregon, you're scrimming them all the time. So this is a map that, there's a lot of upset potential on this map. When I was on Wichita Wolves, we did not like to take teams to Clubhouse because teams that didn't put in work, teams that didn't practice, or if they did put in work and didn't practice, it seemed like a coin flip. It doesn't matter. This is a very coin flippy map, and this is a map that, if it gets down and dirty, TookTheKids like to play that kind of play style. So there is a chance. I'm still putting my money on One Shot, just because I know how good they are on this map. But there's always that X factor of the coin flip on this map. They could just be really solid fundamentally. They could be getting their picks. They could be cheesing it up. Ranked plays worked really well on this one. That surprise factor, it really could go either way. And I still think One Shot got it, but we'll see.
Well, I do think with that, either way, down and dirty is exactly how we want this to play out, no matter what the end result is. So we're going to get to it right now. We're going to throw it to the casters. We're going to Clubhouse for One Shot takes on TookTheKids.
Welcome back, everyone, and I gotta say, I'm on the fence, too. I mean, this is a one-shot map through and through. They just beat LSR 7-5 on it, but I'm holding my chopsticks and not my pen, and I don't know, because TookTheKids, right? Like, you look at TookTheKids, their fundamentals are, like, okay, but they have just, their playmaking ability is just so good.
It's insane. It's insane. I mean, this is a team that we have seen defy, I think, a lot of expectations. You know, they come in through quals, you're like, okay, maybe they're going to be fine. And, you know, they've got some pretty good victories here and there. They're sitting at the second spot on our leaderboard for a reason. Yes, most of those wins have come in overtime and they haven't gotten the full points, but they've looked pretty impressive. One Shot, on the other hand, it's been a little bit more up and down. So I think on paper, this is probably the closest match, you know, we were coming into the day thinking we were going to have coming into this play day. It really felt like the closest match, but we already saw one overtime game today. Question is, you know, can we see a second? Bummer that we're going back to Clubhouse, but like Tanner said, this map is, you know, the great equalizer, right? It's Clubhouse. You're not going to have really any difference in, are you better at this map than somebody else? No, it's going to all come down to how you can adapt to your opponent on the fly.
And it's funny because not only is it, you know, a heavy adaptation map, a fundamental, or adaptation map, a fundamental map. But when I talk to players about this map, a lot of them tend to agree that this is a playmaking map. Like, when it comes to Clubhouse, a lot of teams, you know, if their fundamentals are evenly matched, it comes down to which team has better playmaking ability. And I gotta say, I love One Shot. Like, I love these guys. But looking at their roster, I feel like the only one who consistently does that is Swaylin. Meanwhile, TookTheKids, I mean, Not Nice can do it. TPA has done it. Tragical probably does it the most. Mr. B has even been, you know, one of the best players on this team. I mean, Mr. B, people used to make fun of Mr. B and say he was like, you know, as CJ loves to put it, he was a traffic cone. He was just walking around the map as a future camera operator so he could IGL his team to victory. He has made tremendous strides in his mechanical prowess, and it's really showed in Challenger League. I'm super proud of Mr. B. And it's like, everyone on TookTheKids has that ability, and they've done it time and time again. So I feel like I'm going to regret this. One Shot should take this map, but I can't bring myself to switch off TookTheKids.
Well, I mean, I think you are in the minority, but I do think your prediction holds a good bit of water, too. I mean, I think both teams have very good shot at taking this map, and in part, it may come down to who is able to set the pace, set the rhythm, and force their opponent to play the game that they want to play. If that's an aggressive game, if it's an aggressive, you know, roam-focused, surprise, rat play kind of focused game that TookTheKids want to go with, set that rhythm right here in round number 1. You've got a chance. You're on the defense. We're already seeing a couple of these roamers darting across this map. We're already seeing Mr. B, you know, ready to rip this C4 and send it to this garage door. What? And there it is. You've got the first one. Is that TPA, I guess? Not Taha?
Yes.
Getting the opening kill. But the Vigil on this roam, that unexpected element already working out, Subarctic is gone.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he wants to be called Taha from now on, but he hasn't told me that. So, and we're in a group chat together, so I'm just going to say TPA. I remember as soon as we found out the map, too, I think it was Tragical and Trist and Mr. B all added me, and they're like, I'm so sorry. We tried to play Border, but One Shot, we're not having it. Though, you have to respect One Shot's decision to not play TookTheKids on Border.
Yeah, that's
I
scary.
think going to Clubhouse is definitely a much more intelligent proposition here. But I mean, TPA getting that first kill on the sub, like, Zoe is an important frag, but at the very least, One Shot still have their vertical play with the sledge. They still have the EMPs to counter the Cade. They still have all their hard breach as well. So concerning utility, you know, sure, they'll sorely be missing that lifeline, but they are not completely hung out to dry. Slippery very afraid of C4 potential, considering there's 2 on the defense. One for Trist, one for Mr. B. Trist almost always plays under that kitchen hatch, but it's Not Nice to get the kill on NVK. I believe up through Moto, or perhaps on main stairs as Moto was being opened. Either way, huge pick for Not Nice, giving his team a 2-man advantage.
Yeah, TookTheKids sitting more than pretty right now. There's only 60 seconds left. They have a man advantage, and One Shot does not have a lot of time or options. Swaylin will walk into Church in a crossfire. Kilo is able to get one, but Swaylin can do nothing but downing Mr. B. is all he can do before he gets fully finished off himself. Kilo gets lit up from blue, has no idea exactly where those bullets are coming from, so he'll just continue to pre-fire the entire wall. Out of options here, and on literally 1 HP, maybe 2 or 3 HP if we're getting technical, but an impossible fight nonetheless. He's got 1 bullet worth of HP, a breath worth of HP. And yeah, he doesn't know where to go. He doesn't have the diffuser in hand, and he doesn't know where these final defenders are positioned. He's got 1 ping to work with, but with 10 seconds left, he'll just swing the church doorway, and well, you've already got a pre-fire there from Not Nice, so it is quickly finished off, and TTK take the first.
Good roam, and more than good roam, good pushback on the setup. So not only do TookTheKids have that opening pick, but Not Nice, not falling back from Moto when the hatch starts to get open. Instead, he gets the pick on NVK and then falls back. After that, TookTheKids, they play turtle. They peel back. They say, all right, kitchen hatch is not open. We're free to play back Arsenal. We will let One Shot come to us. And what happens when One Shot starts to push in? Mr. B is there. Not Nice has the crossfire from blue. I think it was, 3K from Nice. Beautiful stuff holding onto that site. And TookTheKids showing that they do have that discipline, getting aggressive in the early round, but not too much so. They peeled back when they needed to. It was very, like people used to say about a lot of the old rosters, very controlled chaos. And if TookTheKids, and that's a big criticism we've had about TookTheKids in the past, is sometimes they get way too ahead of themselves. If they can show that discipline, if they can trip up One Shot in the early round and then turtle up and not overexpose themselves consistently in this map, I think we're going to see a much better showing than I had anticipated.
Well, TookTheKids, after taking a first successful round down on Church, they will shift, like much of our Clubhouse teams have done today, they will shift to CCTV and Cash, despite the site's recent decline in play at a national and tier 1 level. It seems that these CL teams are still pretty comfortable going to CCTV and Cash here. Mr. B, he's bringing out the bandit trick, and you've got Kilo on the other side right now just playing with his food a little bit. A couple of melees on the wall trying to trick Mr. B into thinking he's getting this exothermic charge down, when right now he is playing a little bit of a waiting game, likely waiting for this window, the CCTV window, to be opened and a couple of nades to work their way in, and there it is. The first nade perfectly onto Mr. B when almost nothing was happening, though. Subarctic will just send that LMG straight into his teammate's back, so Slippery has been taken down. An odd team kill, and not the best, but at the end of the day, TookTheKids should now have relinquished that bandit control, and with the wall open, One Shot can look to get something else done.
I mean, like you said, they relinquished the wall, but I mean, instead of a one-man advantage for One Shot, it's even, because Subarctic riddled his teammate with bullets. I'm sure Slippery cursing him for that one, because you've lost nades. I mean, he only had one left. You already used it for Mr. B, but still, you've also lost a body. Now it's a 4 versus 4. Drones repeatedly getting shot by TookTheKids. They've already taken out 3. Luckily, One Shot still have, more than enough at their disposal, but holding on to Garage is nice. Peeking up from Swamp, catching NVK mid-sprint, and there's no refrag from Swalen just yet because the Jaeger is holding just passive enough. The perfectly timed aggression from TookTheKids is uncanny, not just in this game, but in other games as well. I remember back in the Nocturnes game, it seemed like every time someone from Nocturnes on the defense looked away from a doorway, that's when TookTheKids would storm on in. And it's nice with a second kill on the round, putting One Shot in, again, quite the deficit. Now only one man remaining. Nice with a third on the round is this Jaeger, looking for a fourth. He's got his eyes set on Kilo. He'll just narrowly miss those shots. Kilo gets one running out of the breach. That's tragical. Maybe getting a little bit over-eager, but even if Nice dies here, you've still got TPA covering from rafters. There's almost no chance Kilo wins this round.
Yeah, Kilo also likely recognizes that. If he did think he had a chance, he'd likely just rappel up and probably sprint in the breach. Right now, he knows he just got to take these 1v1 engagements and just stall out the clock. He's not going to have a way to get this diffuser down. I don't even think he's going to be able to get into the breach because Trist is sitting right behind the bomb chassis looking to deny that entry if he vaults in. It's actually TPA, the one to get the kill over from rafters, but that is 2 rounds in a row for TookTheKids. I mean, this one just as dominant as the last.
And more than that, it's 2 3Ks in a row from Not Nice. someone who has had intermittent success, I guess I would call it. It's like some games he is a superstar, some games he's kind of a wet noodle and struggles to find those openings. But in this game right now, he is the main power for TookTheKids. I mean, in round number 1, he not only got the kill main stairs, but got 2 from blue covering the Moto drop down. That round, he was just playing in Swamp and bottom garage and finding one shot every time they would even expose themselves a little bit to those to those underneath breaches, to lounge and such. So Not Nice has been putting, he's 6-0 right now. He has he has double the rest of his team's kills combined, and that's what getting 2-3Ks back to back in the first 2 rounds will get you. And One Shot have struggled to shut him down, and that's something One Shot have struggled a little bit with in the past. If somebody on the other team is just better and is running all over them, One Shot tend to struggle with that kind of star power.
Well, we can hope that on their 3rd attacking attempt, maybe they find some kind of remedy for the TookTheKids aggression and, like you said, that firepower, that individual potential that each of these players on TookTheKids brings with them every time they swing an angle and enter the lobby. We do have the presence of NVK on the Thatcher, so they do have, at least the attacking side, does have a lot of options in terms of where they want to approach from. They won't be delayed, or at least they shouldn't be delayed by any sort of hard breach denial, and that is likely why TookTheKids are only electing to bring the mute and those jammers rather than any sort of electricity in terms of those electro claws or those bandit batteries. On the jacuzzi wall, after all, is already opened up, and Kilo holding that angle, making sure nobody can rotate in the hallway anymore, because the rest of this attacking team is applying pressure from, well, just about everywhere. Subarctic and that Rotero drone will try to clear their way through cache and CCTV and deal with that bulletproof camera. Swaylin over there as well to join him.
Yeah, they'll take away some of the info that those defenders were using, but there's still a shield that Mr. B and TPA can play behind. The wall is still reinforced as well. Kilo will pop open that single con wall from the outside and even open a little bit of Logi, but still, the fact remains that server has not been cleared out, and the defenders are very comfortable sitting there behind their shield and such. Swaylin is there holding them back from peeking, and he actually gets the kill onto TPA as well, but Mr. B's there for the refrag, and now server window is completely opened up. Trist just peeks the breach, I think either through bathroom or from the hallway, domes Kilo, and once again gives the early man advantage to TookTheKids.
Yeah, again, it's the aggression. TookTheKids willing to take these gunfights, and they are not backing down despite whatever the utility that One Shot has or however progress that they have made. TookTheKids say, we don't care. We're going to just step up and shoot you. Nice is likely to do that again, but the player will sneak in the breach unbeknownst to him. Just kidding. He'll swing around and take down the head of NVK. It is Subarctic and Slippery. Last alive. Subarctic throws his life away as he vaults in a window, and, well, Not Nice was right there to collect the kill, and it is all up to Slippery in a 1 versus 4. We have now seen 3 different situations where there has been 1 or 2 one-shot attackers left in a 1vx situation. Round 3 is no exception, and Slippery is not much longer for this world. It is tragical, the one who collects that final kill, but it simply wouldn't have mattered who got that kill. There were 4 defenders hunting for that last frag, and TookTheKids, they take their 3rd round in a row. One Shot looking like they're struggling right now. Really not much else I can say.
I'm a little sad that Nice couldn't go for the hat trick of 3Ks, but still performed admirably holding on to Jim, preventing NVK from walking through the breach after Trist got the initial pick as well. So you reduce the number of people outside Jacuzzi, from 2 to 1. There's no more trade potential there. NVK is forced to walk in alone, and he stands no chance against Mr. Not Nice. As well as that server play, Swaylin was meant to hold back those players, but it seemed like TPA and Mr. B knew that he was alone, simply went for a 1-for-1, and were successful. From there, One Shot didn't have much recourse. I mean, they have a guy on the roof, someone trying to jump in through the balcony, and just dying one by one by one. Right now, I said in the beginning that while TookTheKids have the better playmaking potential, One Shot probably have the best fundamentals, but we're not seeing that right now.
Yeah, fundamentals are not even close to being present in this lobby for One Shot right now. When you think about fundamentals in Siege, you think about coordination, good intel, right? And when it comes down to it, teamwork. There's a lot of ways to go about that fundamental siege. You could do what TookTheKids are doing right now and playing aggressively, taking every fight. As long as the fundamentals are there, you've got a pretty core setup. One Shot are not playing unified, and that is in part why we're seeing so often one random attacker remaining in a 1v4 situation. It is because they're getting picked off one by one, not playing close enough off of each other to support their teammates as they're taking gunfights. We are not seeing One Shot get any trades. Another example is this. Subarctic is all alone right now. Finally, you've got Swaylin coming in from that secret window to support him, and that is something. Helps that NVK is able to get a kill onto TPA here as he works his way in up above, but again, right now, NVK is alone. If there is somebody near that position, if there is somebody on TookTheKids that could surprise him for the next 10 seconds until Slippery gets there, NVK is in danger.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we usually highlight for One Shot is their trade potential, but so far it's been completely non-existent. I mean, just look at the amount of people left up for TookTheKids at the ends of these rounds. 4 up, 3 up, 4 up. In the first 3, there are no semblance of trades for One Shot right now. We haven't seen it from TookTheKids either, but that's mainly because we haven't really had to. And although TPA was the first to fall, you know, it's not really a refrag, but it's a late trade. Slippery gets C4'd, and I mean, you lose Vigil for Sledge on a bottom floor defense. Again, I take that any day of the week. TookTheKids are looking good, and One Shot still don't have a concrete answer, at least not yet.
Maybe they'll be able to coordinate and get a little bit of an execute going. I mean, NVK and Swaylin, they are the Thatcher and the Hard Breacher, a match made in heaven, trying to work their way into this church wall. The Electro Claw, trying to go down, but a little bit too late for Mr. B. Able to actually block off the Selmas from fully detonating, though. So that is a big problem for One Shot if they actually wanted to push in and get the bomb down there. Instead, they're going to have to work their way through Moto. Kilo is going to try to do that. He's dropped down, and he's going to take down Mr. B, dealing with that Banshee, so he has the opportunity to now run into the site when he sees that it is clear, but Tragical is also still a factor. Looking towards the main stairs. Gets fried, though, because he is sitting out in the open. You talk about fundamentals, and it looks like Tragical, well, he let that slip away. But it looks like Nice wants to get something going. He gets lit up, but he picks up Swaylin before. He gets 2. He takes down Subarctic on so low HP. Trist, once again, is moving into the spot that several of these defenders have died, and Trist will also die in the same position. Nice is finally felled, and One Shot finally on the board.
I was really worried because the kill that he got on Subarctic, that was the lone player who was supposed to push blue. But at the end of the day, and it's something we see from TookTheKids a lot, right? If they don't start the round off the way they want to, they feel the need to make a play. And I mean, it is understandable with their play style, especially because a lot of these guys, you know, play a lot of ranked. You know, Not Nice comes from ranked. But they feel like there needs to be a play made when they lose that first body. And you saw it over and over again, you know? They lose TPA, and Mr. B goes down in Moto, so we have several players try to retake. Tragical forces his way up to the breach to try and get a pick on main stairs, dies. Trist then also tries to go up and push the main breach under the cover of smoke, also dies to Kilo. TookTheKids, you know, again, like we said earlier in this game, tend to get ahead of themselves, and that's just one of the ways that they tend to do it. It's that oh, I have to step up mentality, which, you know, can help sometimes. You see it a lot of work for Tragical and TPA in certain situations, but when it's like that, when you're retaking a completely exposed position like Church Wall with 3 Selmas on each breach, it's just going to hurt more than help.
Well, it looks like One Shot have found something that works at least, right? They've approached that site nice and slowly, nice and methodically. They made sure to cover every possible avenue that a roamer or, you know, some cheeky flank that TookTheKids could throw at them. They covered all of that and focused on getting the church wall open, because once they did, like you said, it put TookTheKids into a weird spot. They felt like they had to make a play, and 3 players stepped up and made poor decisions. If One Shot can exploit that again, see if they can see how some of these bad decisions come out from TTK. If they can keep making that happen, they can set themselves up for a pretty good attacking half, but they just have to do it for 2 more rounds here if they want to get us all tied up. You've got Slippery, who's made his entry over in this first floor bathroom. He's going to rotate around and probably open up this Moto hatch because, interestingly enough, it is soft. and we're not seeing a lot of pressure being applied to this first floor at all from TookTheKids. Definitely a shift in how they're approaching this.
A bit odd, especially considering they do still have a reinforcement in pocket if you look at the very top right of your screen. So maybe they accidentally left Moto open. Someone didn't finish their prep. I don't really know. But either way, it's going to be easy for One Shot to, just sledge that open and take Moto Hatch. A C4 is ready at the helm for Mr. B. And VK certainly wary of it considering the opening at the top of the wall. They also see a pre-play C4, which will get shot, and Mr. B will not send his out just yet. He is waiting for NVK to fully commit to the down to bottom main. Otherwise, TookTheKids are, pretty static. Slippery is just hammering away at back Arsenal from kitchen. Trist, unlike most times, is not fully exposing himself to the sledge, and the C4 will finally be pulled. Mr. B gets that opening frag.
Well, they're staying passive here and waiting for One Shot to push their way in, and so far it's working. They've claimed the first kill. They're going to be looking for a couple others, but Swalin's going to try to make that difficult as he opens up this kitchen hatch with that secondary hard breach charge. At the same time, you've got Subarctic scrambling around to apply pressure to blue. Kilo opening up dirt, and it looks like we might be seeing some dirt-blue combination pressure to aid a kitchen drop, eventually at least, but, that eventual situation's got to come very quickly. It's a 3v5, and 20 seconds are all that remains for One Shot to get something done. You losing Subarctic on this blue push now puts Swalen in a very tough spot. Slippery could get something done, though, and Swalen will answer as well. Slippery actually gets 2, and all of a sudden, Mr. B is last alive. He's got a prone angle here, but he can't stop this diffuser going down. He's got to work his way through this last player. It is Slippery, who gets 4, finishes it off with a pistol, cleaning up this defense in no time.
What a weird round. First of all, you had the opening pick from Mr. B on NVK. Not Nice follows it up in blue, I think peeking the hatch and standing in that little sweet spot between the fire that Capitao just can't get an angle on. And then Swalen smokes it off, pushes and kills him. One, I believe, comes from, I think that was Dirt. And I think, I don't know if it was Tragical or TP on the Capcan. Whoever was playing Capcan just completely whiffed. And as One Shot just barrel in on the site, TookTheKids uncharacteristically lose all their gunfights. Then Mr. B is stuck in a corner in a 1v3. He gets one, but you can't really blame him for losing that. Not with, Slippery charging at him with a pistol to get his 4K. So really odd round overall, but One Shot make it work. The trade potential that we were talking about finally shining through and getting the drop on TookTheKids. And with that, they were going to completely abandon Church, figuring, all right, we're 1-2. That's enough. We'll finish the half out strong on Jim.
Yeah, hoping to wrap things up and collect that 4th round win. It was looking so good, but all of a sudden it's turned into a position where One Shot have technically gotten the job done on the attacking side, gotten the 2 rounds they needed, and TookTheKids, if they could get one more, it would put them in a pretty good spot before they shift to the attacking side themselves. Clubhouse does tend to go 3-3, I feel like more often than not. Often earlier we saw, a 5-1 attacking side, which kind of, threw that out the window, but we generally don't see anything out of the ordinary 2 defender-sided, and it looks like we're going to see One Shot work a pretty ordinary clear over from the cash side to get round 6 underway.
I actually wouldn't be surprised if it's a double 4-2 half, since TookTheKids are a better attacking team on Clubhouse, and One Shot are a better defending team, so this is both teams' weaker side, and then we go to both teams' stronger side. So, double 4-2 half is certainly not out of the question, especially with how many of TookTheKids games go to overtime. But I am excited to see, who's better at their better side after this round. Of course, we got to get through this Gym defense first. Wall is open pretty fast, within about a minute. EMP is going out to assist that clear. Nice, once again, holding Gym like we know he likes to do. But somehow Slippery has been downed. Maybe from the server window, considering the only flank watch they have on it is Swalen way far back on the Kennels catwalk. But Subarctic ends up getting the first pick instead, as Slippery is recovered, outskilling Mr. B with a Claymore.
Yeah, good old-fashioned just slap a Claymore on a window, on a doorway, and we'll hope it finds its target. In this case, Mr. B is the unlucky victim, but with that opening pick, one shot, and now having recovered Slippery, they're in a 5v4. They've got a one-man advantage, and they're starting to open up the avenues on this site that they need. No more defenders over on the cache or the CCTV construction side of this top floor. Really everyone else either on the site itself or sitting slightly below. TPA, the potential next real danger for one shot to encounter, but it doesn't seem anybody's actually entering down below. Instead, everyone just focused on applying pressure up above. The only thing they're going to have to worry about is a potential late round flank, because TPA is working his way around, and right now, one shot, they're not going to push their way in just yet. They want to wait until they can get all 4 attackers in a similar position.
Not nice again. Holding onto that breach from Jim. He doesn't have to worry about his windows just yet. We see him, keep flicking back and looking at it. But there we go. There's the kill outside the breach he was looking for. NVK drops to the floor once again, leaving just one man outside of Jacuzzi. That's Kilo all alone with not really much support. He ends up flashing himself to make his way into short, but just dies to the Malusi of Tragical. That's case now forfeited with only 8 seconds left. Another one for Tragical inside of gold, and it's just a full cleanup from TookTheKids. All the team names on that team ending up chiming in at the end of that round, and they do indeed take the 4-2 half.
Yeah, TookTheKids closing it out there, and in, spectacular, flashy fashion, lighting up the scoreboard orange and taking the round win there. When these rounds have gone very frag heavy, it has TookTheKids to take the win. Like I said at the very start of this map, when TookTheKids are forcing successfully one shot to play into that frag heavy style, they're winning. They are out fragging them. And on the other hand, when one shot are able to slow the pace down and play a bit more disciplined, and when TookTheKids find themselves just going up against a very methodical, coordinated clear, that is where one shot succeeded on the attacking side. But now, like you said, Harrison, now the script, it's flipping around. We are seeing the defense of one shot, the attack of TookTheKids. And like you said, the stronger side for both of these teams, the question is, can the TookTheKids strong attack overcome the strong defense of one shot?
Yeah, it'll be a true test of who is better on this map, testing the mettle of their respective higher win rate sides. And I love the point you made, Jonah, about the pacing, because it is completely true, right? Just like you said, when one shot are allowed to slow that pace down and play methodically, TookTheKids get ahead of themselves, almost like they get impatient. But if one shot, try to match TookTheKids' energy, they get smoked. And now that we're on this defensive side, it's going to be a lot easier for one shot to dictate that pace, just because of the way the game works, the defense always has the advantage in that regard. TookTheKids are going to have to make a very active effort to speed up these rounds, because one shot love putting all these different little puzzle pieces in front of an attack.
Well, one shot staying active right here, at least Subarctic is. Doesn't want to give up this control of this bar area right now, as we are seeing a bit of an SSG-style extension, an SSG-style roam here from one shot. They're looking to maintain as much map control as possible for as long as possible. Of course, it's not a full SSG. We don't see the same traditional operator selection, but the idea is the same. Map control, maintain it for as long as you can, waste as much attacking utility as you can. The only question remains is, does TookTheKids actually want to go through this clear? Because right now, the pacing that this attacking team is getting underway, I mean, it's not the best. It leaves a little to be desired. Tragical is also alone right now. You've got Nice working his way in below, but Tragical up above, I mean, checking this angle with a drone at his feet, that's going to help him out, but he doesn't really have the support of a teammate. TPA will, I guess, fall victim to that, as no trade is found for him directly, but, well, one trade is found by the Zofia, like I said, hunting down those kills from above. Trist finds another as well, taking down Slippery.
Yeah, so it ends up being a 2-for-1 on the roam, though you do lose Finka, a lot of HP off Trist, so there won't be any healing anymore. Kilo will find an equalizer. Mr. B is tagged up. Finally, Subarctic succumbs to the crossfires, but Swaylin has ascended the staircase in support as Smoke. Curiously enough, Kilo is still upstairs as well. He'll hop off the staircase. I think that'll probably give a nice sound cue to the attackers if they weren't aware before. But Trist, walking around in sight, just dies to Swaylin. Not looking the wrong way. All right, that was a little weird from Trist. And, dropping the ball in sight instead of just holding an angle, we'll leave Mr. B in a 1 versus 2. He's got 40 seconds to play with, so not completely pressed for time, but with gas canisters coming through from Swaylin, Mr. B's avenues are severely restricted. Even if he drops Moto Hatch, there's a castle barricade staring him in the face. There's an angle opened up from Swaylin to watch the hallway as well, and as he tries to rush through the smoke, Kilo just fries him. Could have been a good round for TTK, but again, one shot, just keeping the layers up, keep rotating people to support their roamers.
Well, one shot, despite, like you said, a bit of a rocky start on that extension, right? They had the support for those roamers that they needed, and they made sure that even if they lost a couple of bodies early, they had somebody in position who could find an eventual trade. Then eventually it just comes down to those who are actually on the site itself, those anchors who are going to stay disciplined, who are going to stay passive, and they're going to wait for the attack to actually come to them. In this case, those one-shot defenders played that as perfectly as you ever could. They waited for the opportunity for TookTheKids to walk into their open arms, and when they did, they were there to take advantage. So TookTheKids, despite a good start, they could not close that one out, something they're going to be looking to remedy as they go forward for the rest of these attacks. I mean, just looking, though, at the scoreboard right now, I mean, fragging, it really does look like TookTheKids have the edge with a nice leading that with a 13 bomb right now. Mr. B and Tragical, though, I mean, with 4 and 5 kills respectively, I mean, so far behind their teammate right now. So if they can spread out these kills, if they can start contributing equally, this attack is likely to heat up quickly. I mean, if you look at the defensive side, there's no one fragger emerging above the rest. Right now, the killing has been relatively spread even.
Yeah, either that or TookTheKids need to focus on enabling nice. It's something that we see a lot of teams do. It's something that, Parabellum were famous for, was enabling spirits. There's a lot of teams that like that kind of play style. And if TookTheKids can focus on not nice, perhaps he can find even more success. Otherwise, I do definitely agree with you that they need to start spreading the load. They need to make sure that everyone's chiming in and it's not just the not nice show. EMP goes out, and that's just not going to stop a bandit trick. What?
It'll work this time. Yeah, there it is. So it looked like Mr. B, it looked like he was complete on our end, putting that entirely on the wall, that exothermic charge, but he backed that first one off. Right, exactly. I thought he had lost the first one, but he backed it off just in time. And Subarctic, again, good timing from Trist with the EMP, with the second EMP. So Subarctic could not, either like take care of that bandit battery and put another one in time to get the exothermic taken care of. So the wall open. Maybe it took them 10, 15 seconds longer than they wanted, but they've gotten the job done, and now they're actually pressuring down below, eventually looking to clear into garage, but first trying to deal with the player on the bottom of red stairs.
It's a little weird that they chose to only deal with the bandit trick by using EMPs and, I guess, relying on the fact that you can't put 2 batteries on one wall. I rarely ever see a team not use nades to clear that out. Trist, with some pretty poor positioning against NVK, will give his life up. I mean, his job is done as the Thatcher, but still, could have probably played that a lot better. Next step is going to be the garage clear. TPA holding the angle in case Kilo stands up, but he's holding a C4. I mean, there's someone still playing like bottom red lounge. That's NVK. Someone's in oil pit watching the garage stairs as well, and Kilo's no fool. He's not going to be exposing himself to the angle that TPA is holding. He's just going to repeatedly hit the deck and waste time. He doesn't need to peek. Finally, though, he'll stand up. Tragical ends up getting the kill because Tragical's just in sight. What? He just walks through the breach, I guess? He'll take a lot of heat. Not Nice is the next to go down. Tragical will be healed up just a bit as Slippery takes a lot of damage too. Tragical has taken a lot of control, and it's only just now that Mr. B is getting the plant down. I don't know if there's a C4 from below. It doesn't look like it. He's completely safe getting this. It's the C4 instead to kill the cover of Tragical, and Mr. B's alone in a 1 versus 4 outside plat wall. Very easy to get overwhelmed in a position like this because it's so very open. Someone from one shot can just start this counter defuse and have 3 people swinging Mr. B back to back. He'll get one, but there's the garage run out from NVK for his 3rd kill of the round, and one shot even the score.
No idea what TookTheKids are thinking there with that kind of play. Now, on the surface, you see the site exposed and you see an opening to run in and get a kill. Sure, you do it. But the problem is when that kill is so, or rather when that plan is just so individual, it's not a team focus, but it's just a one player doing all that work. It was Tragical in this case, who just sprinted in. That's where the alarm bells start ringing. Because if Tragical pushes in alone, it's going to take some time for him to communicate to his team that, hey, I've got the site. You should get back here and get this bomb down. While that's happening, those players are likely just sprinting towards the site without much concern for their surroundings. That's risky. But when they get to the site, by that time, One Shot, they've probably already realized what's going on, and they're probably engulfing on the site too. That's exactly what we just saw. Tragical, he was one of those last players to die, but he really was the reason that a lot of his teammates died, because he took that site control. He demanded that action from his teammates to say, I'm in, I gotta kill, get here and get this bomb down. All of that through the attack through a loop. One Shot capitalized beautifully, and it didn't take much for a 4v2 retake, like you said, Harrison, in such an exposed position for them to get a successful counter defuse.
Even then, I mean, starting with the really poor lounge clear and giving NVK 2 picks, the round was already pretty tough for TookTheKids. And like we saw it, right? On One Shot side on the attack, their fundamentals were not consistent. It's looking like it might even be less consistent for TookTheKids, at least in these first 2 rounds. You know, they have plenty of time to fix their issues, but, you know, like I said in the beginning of this map, I would not be surprised at all if this ends up going to overtime. But either way, One Shot have done a brilliant job tying up the score. They have that construction wall reinforced, so there's no need to hold too firmly in cache and server. That's why those roamers have already rotated back. I don't know if they have a shield in construction to help substantiate that hold, but either way, it doesn't look like TookTheKids are completely aware of the control that they have, at least not until now. Might be because of those mute jammers, you know, stalling out those drones, but finally, Mr. B will check in, call to his team. Hey, guys, remember, this is completely clear. Wall is reinforced, but yeah, there is no shield in con, so Kilo and NVK are pretty exposed.
Oh, well, Kilo, he knows he's exposed, but he's going to actually go for the bandit trick again, and this time it works. Mr. B out of exothermic charges. TookTheKids as a whole out of hard breach, except for the 2 pocket can openers that Nice has as the buck. That could be exactly what TookTheKids need, the saving grace that they could rely on here. That's why Nice is taking the time to rotate all the way around to get this on the wall. There's no way the bandit trick is going to be able to happen on that, so Kilo is going to have to fall back to the site instead. So efficient rotation there from Nice, but not an efficient use of utility overall for Mr. B and TookTheKids, and that has costed them a good bit of time, and it could impact them later on.
Going for that wall without someone established on construction window is a huge misstep. It's almost like trying to open Jacuzzi without someone on gym window with a bandit on the board. I mean, how many times do we see teams just ignore that step and make a rookie mistake like that? We just saw TookTheKids do it, except it's on the construction wall. So, you know, they lose some of that hard breach. They can no longer move through the construction wall. Instead, it's just a sight line, which I don't know if it'll hurt them all too much, but still, I'm sure they would have liked to have the thermite on that wall. They've also got a C4 down below, but Tragical ends up killing NVK. TPA traded back. Trist is there with 1, but there's that C4 below coming through. We're now in an even 3 versus 3 after a bit of a blitz from TookTheKids. As the dust settles, they'll end up trying to push in a Logi. Kilo, a bit of a whiff. Mr. B ends up claiming that kill, hopping through. Logi, though, gets caught by a bear trap. Back to even man count. Subarctic is holding down Bathroom. Swalen with 1 kill. It's down to a 1v1. Tragical has to chase, but he doesn't have time. Picks up Diffuser, but cannot plant. Mr. B may have been blocking it. Not quite sure what happened between, if there was a delay or something, but either way, Swalen running away, making the right call, gives One Shot the lead.
Yeah, good read there from him. Excuse me, a good read there from him to a back away in the last few seconds. Should it have been needed? Probably not. I think One Shot were in a pretty good spot and actually fumbled that site control a little bit more than was expected when TookTheKids actually pushed in with very little time and very little options. The one most awkward fight was when Kilo was kind of left alone in the middle of the site with the mattress and a deployable shield to protect him. And where were both of his teammates? One was in bathroom, one was on the main stairs, but neither supported him. Kilo was trying to cover 3 angles: the master window, the construction door into master, and the logistics running at the same time, with his teammates really doing nothing to help him. That was where the concern for One Shot, that defense really was at its highest for me. But then again, playing it smart, the bear trap saving the day. and One Shot taking the round because a couple of good decisions and maybe a lucky little bear trap that TookTheKids weren't ready for helped them pull out the round. So just like TookTheKids did on their defensive half, One Shot will also go back to back to back successful defensive rounds of flawless site rotation.
Yeah, definitely saving the round with that bear trap. Shout out to the Frost player on One Shot. Don't quite remember who that was, but good job placing him at there. Now, TookTheKids forfeit that lead. They've lost 3 in a row, like you just mentioned. I'm sure they're looking to try and stem the momentum, put a stop to One Shot's streak. There is a very extended roam all the way to the top floor, just like we saw on that initial church defense from One Shot, where they had a pretty good roam clear and TookTheKids again, had Trist in the site with a very early presence, but ended up dying and leaving Mr. B in a 1vx post plant. And again, getting overwhelmed, and okay, TPA just walks up main stairs and goes 1 for 1, and then Kilo escapes. So, I mean, it only took a minute. It did shove the roam back. But I just don't know if, losing your Finca for a bandit is all that worth it.
TookTheKids continuing to just play their style of game. And when it works in some moments against some teams, well, sometimes defensive teams, especially like One Shot, find a way to counter it. We'll counter another one of these attackers with an nice C4. A moment ago, you saw one of those attackers blown sky high, leaving these last 3 remaining TookTheKids attackers in an uncomfortable spot. Thankfully for them, they do have a lot of time, 1:20 still on the clock. Yeah, you have 4 defenders to find, but only 3 toxic smokes. You don't have to worry about Kilo's nitro cell. You do have to pay attention to Subarctic, though, and the nitro cell that he has in his pocket. But if you can try to find a way to circumvent that, it's not over just yet. Again, we've talked about the fragging potential, the clutch potential that each of these TookTheKids attackers possesses. They've just got to showcase that again here in round 10 if they want to prevent match point.
Nice pun, by the way. Nice C4.
Not intended. Also terrible. Boo.
I'm sorry. Either way, man disadvantage for TookTheKids. 45 seconds left on the clock. Swaylin gets away from the main stairs angle, continuing to pump gas. But it's actually got EMP'd. So that was his last one. It's no longer available to him. Stuns are going out to try and maybe allow Trist through. Tragical does have his blue covered. There's a long angle being held from the Arsenal doorway, and Trist eventually succumbs to Subarctic holding the cross. Kilo goes down over towards the blue doorway. Tragical, another kill onto Slippery, make it 2, finishing off the downed Kilo, making us even. Swaylin plays the shield correctly, though. Mr. B hits the floor. It's Tragical alone in a 1 versus 2. Solo on HP, down Subarctic, needs to find Swaylin, but again, the smoke playing so passive behind the shield, just 1 pumps Tragical to the floor, and One Shot put themselves on map and match point.
Well, they've yet to lose a defense. One Shot keeping it flawless as they go to church for the second time, and despite early aggression from TookTheKids, something we've said almost every single round so far, they just could not keep that aggression and keep that composure until the actual execute. Heck, Tragical put up quite an effort and ended up getting 2 kills and almost actually got the final one, but when you're trying to take down a smoke behind the deployable shield with a shotgun at point-blank range with no seconds left on the clock, yeah, it sounds impossible, and it is. TookTheKids now, it's match point. They are 2 rounds down, so it is time to take that time out. Maybe I wish they took it 2 rounds sooner, but they're taking it now nonetheless, and they've got a chance to hopefully regroup and figure out a way to get 2 more rounds. They love overtime. Most of their wins have come in overtime. They've just got to figure out a way to get 2 rounds and send us there.
Not only do they need to figure out how to take 2 rounds, they need to figure out how to get Nice back in the action. We pointed out the pun earlier when he got C forward, but Jonah.
Yes.
He ended the first half with 12 kills. He's now on 13. In the past 4 rounds, Nice has only killed 1 person, and I think it was in round 7. So he's got to get back in action. Very clearly, Tragical has woken up on the attack, but still, Not Nice should be that main force for TookTheKids, the most consistent fragger so far in this map, and he has been silent on the attacking half. If Not Nice is able to wake up, I think TookTheKids definitely take these rounds a lot closer, maybe even outright, but losing Nice so early in a lot of these rounds definitely hurts them, not only because he's such a good fragger, but the utility he's got. As the Buck, he can't flush out completely on Arsenal. He can't fully open up that church wall to expose Swaylin on the shield more and, allow a walkthrough for the attack. He can't buck underneath on Cash like he obviously is trying to do, because why else would you bring a buck on Cash? TookTheKids are losing out on a lot when they lose Not Nice so early. And One Shot are doing a fantastic job of just making sure that they control the pace, like we said they need to do on their defense.
Well, potentially our last round of Clubhouse, if One Shot can keep up, like you said, that pace control, dictating what TookTheKids can and cannot do here. Speaking of, we have got quite an extension from One Shot. It's them actually playing a bit more aggressive this time. We had 2 defenders all the way down in the basement, both of whom are going to try to work their way back up the stairs. NVK the first to escape, and Slippery soon to follow, but just a little bit of presence down below has been enough to freeze this attack in its tracks. At least Tragical and Nice have slowed things down. You do have still a pretty expeditious clear from TPA and Mr. B, who are working their way in directly to this first floor and are trying to pressure these roamers, trying to prevent them from rotating back to the site if they can.
I still, it's not a point that we've really mentioned so far yet with TookTheKids, but TPA keeps going solo. Just on the other side of the map from the entirety of the team, by himself, with no trade potential. And it's a bit worrying, because sometimes he'll go 1-for-1, sometimes he'll just die outright, like we saw so many times on the defense. And speaking of dying outright with no trade, Trist just got smoked by Kilo because he was peeking. Well, I don't know if he was peeking, but he was on garage door. I don't know if maybe he tried peeking or was just passing by it and got caught with some unlucky timing. Perhaps Kilo had a fast enough trigger finger, but either way, Trist dies with no recourse. And that's your EMPs gone. So a little bit of utility that perhaps could help you with the garage clear by disabling ADSs, no longer there. So TPA will barrel his way on in, as we know TPA likes to do. We've got a C4 prepped by Kilo, perhaps looking towards Swamp. As Nice starts to just walk in, he's got support, but down he goes. C4 out, doesn't claim a kill, but Kilo is not dead yet. He'll finally get cut down by Tragical, but still losing both Trist and Nice just for garage control with 30 seconds left. That is such a big advantage here for One Shot. At least Tragical's able to make his way into the site, but he's not the man with diffuser. It's Mr. B. 25 seconds remaining now. Still a C4 in pocket for Zabarctic as well. The wall isn't breached, so it'll land on default plant spot should he throw it. Tragical trying to apply pressure and prevent it, gets 1 kill onto Slippery before being instantaneously refragged by NVK. C4 goes out, it does miss, allowing a safe plant for Mr. B, but he's pistol out looking for a kill. He'll be down from below. There's absolutely no coverage from TookTheKids, and in an embarrassing showing on their attack, 0 fundamentals being displayed at all. One Shot will easily take their defensive half to sweep the map.
Yeah, One Shot making it look easy. Hiccups, of course, on the first half, but the moment they sent things onto that defensive side, TookTheKids, they didn't stand a chance. A play style that we see often in CL, it feels like. Every once in a while, every stage, we've got 1 or 2 teams that play crazy aggressive, that play individual gameplay, and they really just try to throw everything at their opponents every single week. I think one word for it might be scrappy, right? TookTheKids are a scrappy team, and they've been able to successfully scrap out a lot of victories. They are, at least they were, our second place team on the leaderboard coming into today. You don't get there without being extremely competent and having those fundamentals. It just seemed that against a very disciplined and very fundamental, at least defensive team of One Shot, TookTheKids slowed down a little bit and just could not pull it through.
I think that's the thing, too, with TookTheKids getting impatient and overzealous so easily. I wonder if they can really only display those fundamentals when they're playing at the pace that they want. But still, even then, even on a lot of those defenses, there were questionable plays. Like, again, TPA completely on his own with no tradability whatsoever, either dying outright or just going 1-for-1 against a much less important operator than he is. A lot of times not having the proper coverage before going for plays, like not having anyone con window before breaching. It was really weird from TTK to see their attacks struggle like that. And I guess, with Clubhouse, I had mentioned it being a playmaker's map, TTK might have the advantage. One Shot just had better teamwork. We didn't see enough individual plays from TTK. We had Not Nice doing it at the beginning, and then he completely fell off, and Tragical couldn't carry the team through their attack. So a bit of a disappointing showing from TTK, but we're going to head back to the analyst's desk so they can discuss it, just how One Shot might be our top-rated team now, right below ATK.
Impressive is probably the only word you can use at this point for One Shot. Connor, this is a team that maybe had a few disjointed attacks, but they more than made up for it on their defense, as they thoroughly, as I said, impressed.
Yeah, the biggest thing was the proper utilization of the Thatcher allowance, not on the attack. It was actually on the defense, Tanner, that we were talking about the most, because they didn't just bring one breach denial. They didn't bring two. They tripled up almost every single round.
Yeah, it definitely felt like there was multiple rounds where just key pieces of utility, hard breach charges, thermite charges, they were just being denied or just outright destroyed by the side of One Shot. And it's very impressive use and understanding of how Thatcher works.
I think,
when you can't get a breach open, you gotta walk in a doorway and you gotta run into Swalen with a shotgun. It's not a recipe for success.
Definitely tough. I do have to say though, you know what? TookTheKids, we talked about this earlier today. We were talking about difference in 7-4 games. There are 7-4 games that seem far apart. There's 7-4 games that seem close. And I want to give TookTheKids some credit here. I think they went up against the best version of One Shot today.
Yeah,
I definitely go ahead.
We're just tripping all over each other right now, but I agree. One Shot looked very clean, very concise. Their rounds, especially on their defense, those adjustments, they were great. Entry engagements, not necessarily the best thing in the world, but when you talk about that mid-round, all those trades, that's where things looked really good for One Shot. Their mitigation of the playmaking, something that Harrison was alluding to, it just let them continue to have control of the round all the way through.
Yeah, and you got to give TookTheKids a little bit of credit there too. I mean, they just, like, we're talking about them being a scrappy team. They had to get One Shot to get down and dirty. Like some of those attacking rounds, you see clutches coming out from, you know, players like Slippery pulling out a 4K, and they're just like, they're funneling in. They just got to get it done. They can't get walls open. They're running out of time. You know, really good composure coming out from the side of One Shot, just to be able to, you know, make sure they get down and dirty when they need to.
Well, we are going to get an opportunity right now to ask Subarctic some questions about their victory. So I'll do that and I'll join you boys in just a second. Subarctic, congratulations on a big win. This is something that we had kind of set up as the match of the day against another very tough team. How did you feel about your team's performance today?
I think us as a team, we really started slow. They started with some heavy aggression, and we were kind of messing up a lot of executes. So that really hurt us in the first, like, I think 4 rounds. I think we lost all of the first 4 attacks. Then we started settling down, like really adjusting to their tempo. And then, I mean, our defenses they felt really good as a team. We gave up some early picks, but overall we played really well at the execute specifically.
Well, I did want to bring up your defenses. One thing that we noticed, or more so the analysts, I don't want to take too much credit from them, is that you guys made the most of the bans and then the operators available. The Mav and the Hibana were off the board, the Thatcher was up, and you guys brought as much wall denial as possible, and it seemed to really work out for you guys.
Yeah, we really think like Mav bans can hurt a lot of teams that rely on him. So, because like forcing teams to actually like clear like bandit tricks and Cades with Thatchers, like obviously the Thatcher gets rid of them, but especially on like CC wall, you have to like either nade him or get him off the wall somehow. And then on our roams, we wanted to like really deny the wall, because having the Thatcher like go different places can cause some teams some issues too. So we came into the game with that game plan.
Now, overall, you guys did have a fantastic game coming away from the win, but I can't help but notice that you guys as a team had very good stats and you were all contributing to the overall play. Is this one of the cleanest games you feel that you guys have had as a team?
No, I think we were actually pretty sloppy. Like I said, kind of to start the game, we made a ton of mistakes. Basically every attack round we were making mistakes. I think we can get a lot better, especially with just more scrims and time together. We're still a pretty new team. We were one of the last CL teams to make roster moves. Me and NBK getting picked up. So we're really trying to like iron out a lot of our issues still.
Well, I have to say, if you think today was a sloppy game, I'm kind of scared to think of what you guys could do down the stretch. So best of luck with that. Thank you for your time, Subarctic.
Thank you. Thanks for the interview. Have a good day.
Thank you. Oh man, if this team is is any better than that, because hey, TookTheKids brought it to them and they shut it down. Yeah, obviously along the way, this is sports, okay? There's mistakes, things happen. There is no such thing as a perfect game, but they did very, very well against another team that was giving them a good run for their money. Now that game is over. We do have one last matchup of the day, but of course we have to go to that break. And when we come back, it will be Aerial Arise taking on Karn & Co.